All right, folks, I'm about to do something I never do. So, a few months ago, I released a first impression videos of 4 pieces of GoHunt Apparel. And those were the Atmosphere Jacket, Blackrock Hoodie, Basin Hoodie, and the Approach Hoodie. In that review, I looked at price, comparables, features, feel, fit, and function. Now, if you want to watch that video, you can go do that at this link here. That was my objective review. It was first impressions. I was only looking at the data, anything that I could measure or quantify or compare to. Now, I am going to do a completely subjective review. I wore all 4 of these pieces for an entire season of bear guiding. I then used them for a shooting course with Shoot to Hunt. I then used them for additionally another 2 weeks of scouting in my territory here in British Columbia for the upcoming fall hunts. So now we're gonna walk through each piece and I'm gonna give you my unadulterated subjective feedback after about 2 months of beating the hell out of these pieces. First up, let's start with the Atmosphere Jacket. So this is basically extremely similar to the Sitka Ambient. It uses the Primaloft Evolve kind of unbonded open fleece that I'm a big fan of. It's very nice. It has an upgraded 20D shell instead of the 15D that you see in some other pieces, and it has a full zip instead of being a hoodie. Now, if we're gonna talk about the performance of this piece, I absolutely love it. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It performs almost identical to the Sitka Ambient and comes in at a much more affordable price. However, the problem for me, and I alluded to this in the initial video, is fit. It just does not fit me. So I was 242 pounds earlier this year in January 1st. I finally just yesterday hit my weight goal of 220 pounds. So it's not like I'm even that big anymore. I'm walking around at 6'1", 220, fairly athletic build. I was running a double XL and I can't wear this thing. So it is very tight across the back and it is very tight on the sleeves. And so if you were wearing any type of traditional base layer, even like this Approach hoodie, it's so hard to like get the sleeves on and get it all kind of like situated under there and get the layers each kind of sitting independently. And I kept thinking the piece was like gonna break in, but just because of what it's made of, there's zero stretch. I washed it, I didn't dry it, I wore it a bunch, I sweat in it a bunch, and it just never broke in for me. And so by the time I would put my backpack on, it was just super uncomfortable. So again, I totally understand why a piece like this fits like Brady and Trail very well. I'm actually quite surprised that it fits Lorenzo well because he's like kind of a beefier dude like myself. I'm sure some people feel like they knocked it out of the park with this piece, but for me, I can't do the fit. So if you are a bigger dude, have broader shoulders, or like kind of a muscular build with like decent size arms, as it stands now in its current kind of format, I can't recommend the Atmosphere because the fit just does not work. Okay, moving on to the Blackrock Hoodie. So this is essentially a traditional grid fleece piece. Now, I am not a big fan of grid fleeces. I much prefer like a second generation active insulation like Primaloft Evolve, Polartec Alpha, any of this like open unbonded fleece. I find it breathes better, keeps me warmer, cuts wind better. However, these pieces are like $200-300 a piece. These pieces range from like $75 to $125. I beat the shit out of the Blackrock. Fit is fantastic. Function is fantastic. Price is fantastic. If you are looking, I love how they got the thumb loops. I love this like kind of stretchy material on the cuffs. In my opinion, probably my favorite grid fleece right now. Blows the Sitka heavyweight, Sitka core heavyweight out of the water, in my opinion. If you are looking for a grid fleece, I strongly recommend purchasing this piece. Love it. Number 3, the Basin Hoodie, which is a Merino piece. Another disclaimer, I don't like Merino. I don't like Merino in anything. I don't like it in my socks. I don't like it in my underwear. I don't like it in my base layers. I don't think it's a good material. Durability sucks. Ability to wick moisture sucks. There's just very few redeeming qualities for Merino, in my opinion. And this piece kind of supported my opinion in all of those regards. Now, I will say for a very hot weather piece, it worked satisfactorily. It's very thin. It breathes decently. It does not dry incredibly fast, unfortunately. No Merino does. And unfortunately, the deal breaker here is that it just completely fell apart. I wore this thing on and off within the first 4 to 6 weeks. All of these holes, and like I didn't do anything. All I did was wear this and hunt with it and guide with it. Here's what really clued me in first. So this is the upper back section right below the neck. You can kind of see the label peeking through there. This hole popped up from my bino harness rubbing on this. And I bet you that hole popped up within the first 2 weeks of wearing this piece. I don't want to hang GoHunt out to dry, pardon the pun, on this one. I just think this is a failing of Merino. I don't like it for all the reasons I already mentioned, but this is an example of why I don't like Merino. The durability is just simply not there. So I do not recommend this piece. And to be honest with you, I don't recommend buying any Merino base layers. We are going to save the best for last. This is the Approach Hoodie. My favorite piece of all of these. I love this piece, and it is dirt cheap compared to its competitors. The material is nice and soft. I love the thumb loops. It dries decently fast. They have just come out with a light version of this, and I actually need to go pick it up because my only complaint with this one is like it's a good mid-season piece. Like I was guiding bears for about 6 weeks, and for the first part of bear season, when it was like, early to mid-May, and it was still like brisk mornings and that kind of stuff, it was a perfect weight. When we started hitting like early June and it was like high 80s, high 90s, there is a very tight weave to this, which actually gives it like great durability, great hand feel. It drapes on the body nice. It's not itchy. The problem with that tight weave is that it doesn't breathe particularly well. And so it's definitely not what I would call like an early season piece. Like you do not want to be chasing antelope in August with this thing on. I think the newer one, as long as they've maintained consistency with the fabric and just gone with like a lighter weave or something, I think is probably going to be a fantastic option for that. My only criticism of this piece, and I say this all the time with my base layers, I like a deep quarter zip. I like being able to dump heat. Now, thankfully, the neck in this piece is very open. I never felt like constricted. The only drawback was on those really hot days, you're hiking up a road, you're going to go glass, and it's like, I just want to unzip the front of this thing just to like dump some heat while I go. So that would be my only criticism of this piece. Other than that, home run on the Approach Hoodie. And I'm really looking forward to trying the Approach Light because I have a feeling it's going to share a lot of the characteristics of this, only be an even quicker drying, lighter piece for hotter temperatures. What do I have to say about GoHunt Apparel as a whole? For starters, I think they have done a fantastic job of introducing some new options to the market and really striking a good value base for the consumer. Some of these pieces, some comparable pieces from other manufacturers are almost twice as much money. And in a lot of ways, these GoHunt pieces are just as good. So I think that's a great thing that they're doing. However, if I was going to give one piece of constructive criticism, I feel like their release schedule has been a little bit rushed. And I feel like some of these pieces are maybe like 75% done and could have used a longer beta testing period and maybe a larger sample audience. I say it all the time. Steve Speck from EXO sent out 150 K4s, all right, for a year. Some more. There was people testing that K4 for up to 2 years before that finally got released. Since that release, there's not been a single amendment to the K4 because that dude is like OCD beyond belief about making sure, and that's because there was another version of an earlier pack that kind of went to market a bit soon and they had this issue with frames. Anyways, hard lesson learned well. But if we look at like the fit issues with the Atmosphere, I know I'm not the only one because I've talked to other people with the same issues, and the durability with the Basin Hoodie, I feel like they could have taken a little bit more time and perfected those pieces a little bit more. But I get it. Everybody wants to bring stuff to market. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes good enough is good enough, and you're better off to get something out in the wild and then listen to consumer feedback and come out with a 2.0. Like this Atmosphere jacket, I would love if they would come out with a 2.0. You know, add a couple new features, fix some of the sizing issues. I would be first in line to go buy one because I think it's a fantastic piece. It's very simple. It does what it says. The price point is right. That fit just needs some modification. With all of that being said, I'm pumped to see what else they've got on the way. Already mentioned the Approach Light. I'm super stoked to try that. And I've been seeing sneak peeks of the pants they've got coming to market. I'm going to buy a pair of those as soon as they're available as well. I'm excited to try those. So big thanks to GoHunt for, being a new player in this market and bringing some things out at different price points that weren't available before. But there you have it. My thoughts after a full season of bear guiding on 4 pieces of GoHunt apparel. Is there anything else from GoHunt that you want to see me test? Drop it in the comments section below. Does your experience differ from my experience? Maybe you love the fit of the Atmosphere jacket. Drop it in the comments section below. Do you appreciate unbiased, non-sponsored gear reviews like this? If you do, and you want to see more, I could use your support. And the way you do that is you go to mindful-reviews.com and sign up for a subscription. Anyone who signs up for a lifetime membership between now and the end of the month will be automatically entered to win a Benchmade Raghorn processing knife. I do a giveaway every month for the lifetime members. We have a big forum, healthy, thriving community, well over 400 members, lots of varying levels of experience, no trolls, no flamers. It's like a welcoming environment where we're all just helping each other make better gear buying decisions and become better backcountry hunters together as a community. If you can engage with this content in any way, shape, or form, I would greatly appreciate it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, thank you for tuning in.